Seattle's rain paints the city in a relentless haze, neon lights flickering like secrets in the mist. I'm Kayla, 26, blonde hair catching the glow, green eyes hiding a storm. Beauty doesn't shield you when family betrays you. My brother Grayson, 30, vice president of our family's real estate empire, thought he could erase me. Grandma Eleanor, the titan who built it all, left an $8 million legacy, but Grayson's out to steal it, sneering. I'm just the adopted spare. Damn it, I never saw this knife coming. He once locked me in a closet at 10, laughing I wasn't blood. Now he's after what Eleanor entrusted to me. But I've got a secret that'll make him choke. Stick around, you won't believe how this unfolds. Subscribe to catch more stories like mine and share where you're listening from, day or night. The rain was relentless that morning, a Seattle drizzle that clung to everything like a bad memory. I sat in my office on the 15th floor of our family's real estate firm, the glass walls fogged with mist, the city's neon lights bleeding through in soft, distorted glows. My desk was a mess, blueprints, coffee cups, and a laptop that hadn't slept in days. I'm Kayla, 26, with blonde hair I'd tied back in a hurry and green eyes that, today, felt too tired to shine. The email notification pinged, sharp and intrusive, cutting through the hum of the office. It was from Eleanor's lawyer, Eleanor, my grandmother, the woman who built this empire from nothing. My heart skipped. She'd been gone 3 weeks, and the wound was still raw. I clicked open the email, expecting some formality about her will. Instead, it was a gut punch. Eleanor had left a real estate fund worth $8 million, a legacy meant for the family. But Grayson, my 30-year-old brother, was trying to rip it away from me. The lawyer's words were clinical. Grayson claimed I had no right to it because I was adopted. Adopted. That word hit like a brick. That son of a bitch, I muttered, my voice barely a whisper, my hands trembling as I gripped the desk. The email detailed his meetings with the legal team, his smooth-talking insistence that blood trumped everything, that I was just the spare in Eleanor's family. I leaned back in my chair, the leather creaking under me, and stared at the rain-slicked window. The city looked like it was crying for me. I wasn't just some employee here. I was a damn good analyst, pouring my soul into market reports and property deals that kept this company afloat. But to Grayson, I was nothing. A leftover he'd mocked since we were kids. I could still see him at 14, his smug face as he locked me in the closet at our old house in Tacoma, his voice sneering through the door. You're not real family, Kayla. You're just some kid Grandma pitied. I was 10, sobbing in the dark, my fists pounding against wood until Eleanor found me, her arms pulling me close, her voice fierce. You're my granddaughter, blood or not. That memory burned now, a fire in my chest. Grayson was the golden boy, the vice president of this firm, strutting around in tailored suits, his dark hair slicked back, his smile a weapon. He'd always had Eleanor's name to lean on, but none of her heart. I'd spent years proving myself here, staying late to crunch numbers while he wined and dined clients. And now? He was trying to erase me from her legacy, like I was some footnote in her story. Motherfucker, I hissed, slamming my coffee cup down, the liquid sloshing over the rim. The office was quiet, but I could feel eyes on me. Colleagues who'd overheard Grayson's jabs, his casual, she's not really one of us tossed around like small talk. I scrolled through the email again, each word a knife. The lawyer mentioned a meeting tomorrow where Grayson would push his case. My stomach churned. I pictured him in his corner office, probably smirking as he planned to cut me out. I closed my eyes and Eleanor's face came back to me, her silver hair pulled into a neat bun, her sharp blue eyes softening as she handed me a blueprint when I was 16. You've got a gift, Kayla, she'd said, her voice steady as we sat at her oak desk, sketching plans for a new development. You see the bones of a building, not just the bricks. Those afternoons with her were my sanctuary, where I wasn't the adopted kid, but the one she trusted with her vision. Now, that vision was under attack. I stood, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor, and paced to the window. The Space Needle loomed in the distance, shrouded in mist, a reminder of how small I felt in this fight. My reflection stared back, pale, tired, but not broken. Not yet. I thought about Eleanor's strength, how she'd built this company in a man's world, how she'd chosen me despite my lack of blood ties. Grayson's betrayal wasn't just about money. It was about denying who I was to her, to this family. Damn it, I won't let him win, I said aloud, my breath fogging the glass. The rain kept falling, relentless, but something shifted inside me. This wasn't just about the 8 million, it was about proving I belonged. That Eleanor's faith in me wasn't a mistake. I turned back to my desk, my mind racing. I'd go to that meeting tomorrow, but not as a victim. I'd fight for what was mine, and I'd make Grayson regret underestimating me. As I grabbed my coat and stepped into the wet Seattle night, the city's pulse seemed to match my own, a steady, defiant beat. I wasn't just surviving this betrayal, I was going to burn it to the ground. The morning after my vow under the Seattle rain, I walked into the office with my chin up, but my stomach was a knot of nerves. The glass tower of our family's real estate firm loomed against a gray sky, its reflective surface mirroring the city's restless pulse. I'd barely slept, Grayson's betrayal replaying in my head like a bad movie. My heels clicked on the marble lobby floor, each step a reminder of the fight ahead. I'm Kayla, 26, blonde hair pulled tight, green eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. I wasn't just here to work, I was here to survive. The boardroom was a battlefield, all sleek glass and polished mahogany, the air thick with the scent of espresso and ambition. I took my seat at the long table, blueprints and market reports spread before me like armor. Grayson was already there, vice president in his tailored navy suit, his dark hair slicked back, his smirk sharp enough to cut. He leaned back in his chair, whispering to a senior exec, his eyes flicking to me with that same old disdain. The same look he'd given me at 12, when he smashed my model house for Grandma Eleanor, sneering, "You don't belong here, Kayla." That memory hit hard, my fingers tightening around my pen until it hurt. The meeting was about my latest project, a market analysis for a new downtown development. I'd spent weeks on it, crunching numbers until my eyes burned. But as I started my presentation, Grayson cut in. "Let's be real. Kayla's projections are optimistic at best," he said, his voice smooth but venomous. Someone without a true stake in this family's legacy might not grasp the bigger picture. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to me, some curious, others judgmental. Then he dropped the bomb. "After all, she's not really one of us. She's adopted." The word landed like a grenade, and I felt the air sucked out of me. My face burned, my heart pounding so loud I swore they could hear it. The fluorescent lights above felt like spotlights, exposing me. I wanted to scream, to throw my coffee mug at his smug face, but I froze. Damn it, I thought. He's playing dirty, and I'm just sitting here. Colleagues shifted uncomfortably, their whispers slicing through the silence. I caught a glimpse of Sarah, my cubicle neighbor, her eyes darting away. Even Jake, the IT guy who always had my back, looked uneasy. Grayson leaned forward, his smile widening. "Maybe we should reassign this project to someone with deeper roots in the company." I forced myself to breathe, my nails digging into my palms. I remembered Eleanor's voice, steady and warm when I was 16, sitting in her office as she reviewed my first market report. "You've got instinct, Kayla," she'd said, her silver hair catching the sunlight through her window. "Don't let anyone make you doubt it." That memory was a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge. I cleared my throat, my voice shaky but firm. "My projections are based on hard data, Grayson. If you have specific critiques, let's hear them." The room held its breath, but he just chuckled, waving me off like I was a child. The meeting dragged on, my presentation overshadowed by his attack. I kept my head high, but inside, I was crumbling. Every whisper, Every sidelong glance felt like a reminder of that closet at 10. Grayson's voice mocking me through the door. "Fuck this," I muttered under my breath, the rawness of it grounding me. I wasn't that scared kid anymore, but I felt her fear creeping back. As the meeting ended, colleagues filed out, avoiding my eyes. Grayson lingered, tossing me a look that said he'd already won. I stayed late that night, the office dark, except for the glow of my desk lamp. Seattle's skyline twinkled outside, a city that felt both home and hostile. I couldn't shake the humiliation, the way Grayson had stripped me bare in front of everyone. But I wasn't done. I needed something, anything, to fight back. I headed to Eleanor's old office, a corner suite untouched since her passing. Her desk was still there, heavy oak, covered in memories of our late-night talks about buildings and dreams. I opened her safe, my fingers trembling as I punched in the code she'd shared years ago. Inside was a small silver USB drive, its surface cool against my skin. I stared at it, my heart racing. The office was silent, save for the hum of the city beyond the glass. This wasn't just a piece of tech. It felt like Eleanor's voice reaching out from the grave. "What did you leave me, Grandma?" I whispered, plugging it into my laptop. The screen flickered, revealing files I'd never seen before. My breath caught. This could be my way out, my weapon against Grayson. As the rain tapped the windows, I knew I was on the edge of something bigger, something that could change everything. The glow of my laptop screen was the only light in my cramped Seattle apartment, casting shadows on the peeling wallpaper. It was past midnight, the city outside humming with a restless energy, rain tapping softly against the window like a coded message. I sat hunched over my kitchen table, the silver USB drive from Eleanor's safe plugged into my laptop, its files open like a Pandora's box. I'm Kayla, 26, my blonde hair in a messy bun, my green eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. After Grayson's attack in the boardroom, I felt like a boxer down for the count, but this USB, it was my chance to get back up. I was a survivor, damn it, and I wasn't done fighting. The files loaded slowly, each click a heartbeat. My hands shook as I opened a folder labeled Legacy. Inside was a bombshell, a document detailing a real estate fund in London, worth $30 million managed through an offshore company. My name was listed as the sole trustee, not Grayson's, mine. Eleanor had set this up 5 years ago, long before her death. "Holy shit," I whispered, my voice cracking in the quiet. This wasn't just money, it was a fortune, a secret empire she'd hidden from everyone, especially my greedy-ass brother. Another file held a note in her elegant script. "Kayla, you understand my legacy is responsibility, not a prize. Protect it." My throat tightened. I could almost hear her voice, steady and warm, like when we'd pore over blueprints in her office. I leaned back, the chair creaking under me, and stared at the ceiling. The memory hit hard. I was 15, sitting in Eleanor's study, sunlight streaming through the window, her silver hair glowing as she handed me a market report. "You see patterns others miss," she'd said, her blue eyes sharp with pride. "That's why I trust you." She'd known even then that Grayson saw her as a cash machine, not a mentor. He'd breeze through family dinners, demanding checks for his flashy cars, never asking about her dreams. I'd been the one listening, learning, soaking up her wisdom. And now, this USB was proof she'd chosen me. But the weight of it was crushing. 30 million Ami, the adopted kid Grayson called the spare? I rubbed my eyes, the screen's glow burning into my retinas. "What the hell, Grandma?" I muttered, half laughing, half panicking. Could I handle this? I was good at my job, sure, but managing a global fund? Doubt crept in, whispering I was just the girl locked in a closet at 10. Grayson's voice sneering, "You don't belong." I pushed it down, but it lingered, cold and heavy in my chest. I needed answers. One file listed a contact, Margaret Hensley, Eleanor's old partner in London. I fired off an email, my fingers flying over the keys, asking for a call. Within an hour, my phone buzzed. A Zoom link from Margaret. I scrambled to tidy my hair, the rain outside picking up, drumming against the glass. Margaret appeared on screen, a poised woman in her 60s, her office overlooking the Thames, its waters glinting under London's lights. "Kayla," she said, her British accent warm but precise. "Eleanor spoke of you often. The fund is yours, legally transferred 5 years ago. Grayson knows nothing of it." My jaw dropped. She explained the offshore structure, airtight and untouchable, designed to protect me. I paced the apartment, the hardwood floor cold under my bare feet. Margaret's words echoed. Eleanor had planned this, knowing Grayson's greed would blind him. Another memory surfaced. A dinner 2 years ago, Grayson bragging about his new yacht, paid for with company funds, while Eleanor watched, her lips tight. Later, she'd pulled me aside, her hand firm on mine. "He doesn't see the bigger picture, Kayla. You do." That night, I'd felt her trust like a shield. Now it was my weapon. But doubt gnawed at me. What if I screwed this up? What if Grayson found out and came for me harder? "Fuck," I hissed, slamming my fist on the table, the USB glinting under the lamp. I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for Eleanor's faith in me, for my place in this family. I opened another file, a spreadsheet of London properties, sleek office towers, luxury flats. It was staggering, but it felt right. This was Eleanor's real legacy, and she'd entrusted it to me. As dawn broke, Seattle's skyline emerged through the mist, gray and resolute. I sat back down, my coffee cold, but my resolve burning. Margaret had promised to send legal documents, proof that Grayson's claim to the $8 million domestic fund was just a fraction of the truth. I was done being the victim. I'd take this secret to London, verify it, and come back to bury Grayson's lies. The rain slowed to a drizzle, and I felt a shift, like the city was whispering, "You've got this." I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was ready to fight. The fog in London was thick as soup, cloaking the city in a ghostly veil as my cab wound through its streets. I'd landed at Heathrow just hours ago, my heart still racing from the USB's secrets. $30 million. A hidden empire Grandma Eleanor had entrusted to me. I'm Kayla, 26, blonde hair tangled from the flight, green eyes scanning the unfamiliar skyline. The weight of that silver drive in my pocket felt like a grenade, and I was ready to pull the pin. Grayson's betrayal had lit a fire in me, but now, standing on the edge of something massive, I was both hunter and hunted. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was rewriting the story. The cab dropped me at a sleek office building overlooking the Thames, its waters glinting like steel under the gray sky. Margaret Hensley's office was all glass and chrome, a stark contrast to Seattle's rain-soaked grit. Margaret, in her 60s, with sharp eyes and a crisp British accent, greeted me with a warm handshake. "Eleanor always said you were her true heir," she said, leading me to a conference table stacked with legal documents. My chest tightened. The papers confirmed it. The $30 million real estate fund, office towers, luxury flats, was mine. Transferred through an offshore company 5 years ago. Grayson didn't have a clue. "Holy shit," I muttered, flipping through deeds for properties I could barely pronounce. Margaret's voice was steady as she explained the airtight structure. Trusts, corporations, all designed to keep the fund out of reach. But then she showed me a letter from Eleanor, her handwriting elegant but fierce. "Kayla, teach Grayson what integrity means. He's lost his way." I swallowed hard, picturing Grandma in her Seattle study, sunlight catching her silver hair as she warned me about greed in the industry. "Some men think money is power," she'd said when I was 18, her eyes narrowing. "You show them its vision." That memory hit like a wave, grounding me. She'd chosen me for a reason. But Grayson wasn't idle. My phone buzzed as I left Margaret's office. A venomous text from him. "Heard you're in London, digging for scraps. I'll sue you for forging Grandma's will." My blood ran cold. He'd caught wind of my trip, probably from a nosy colleague, and was already spinning lies, claiming I'd stolen company data. That bastard, I hissed, my breath fogging in the chilly air. I paced along the Thames, the river's current mirroring my churning thoughts. How did he know? Was he tracking me? Doubt crept in, that old voice from childhood, Grayson locking me in the closet, sneering, "You're not family." I shook it off, my boots splashing through puddles. Then came the lifeline. Jake, the IT guy from work, emailed me from Seattle. "Check this," he wrote, attaching files that made my jaw drop. Bank records showing Grayson siphoning company funds to buy a Malibu beach house. My hands shook as I read, the London fog swirling around me. This wasn't just greed, it was theft. "Motherfucker," I muttered, my voice lost in the city's hum. Jake's message ended with a warning. "He's spreading rumors you hacked the system. Be careful." I leaned against a railing, the Thames lapping below, and felt a surge of defiance. Grayson thought he could bury me, but I had dynamite now. Another memory hit. 2 years ago, at a family dinner, Grayson bragged about his new watch, paid for with bonuses. Eleanor never approved. She'd watched him, her lips tight, then turned to me, whispering, "Stay sharp, Kayla. He's not what he seems." Now I understand. She'd seen his betrayal coming, and this fund was her way of protecting me. But the stakes were higher than I'd imagined. If Grayson's lies took hold, I could lose everything, not just the fund, but my job, my reputation. "Fuck that," I said, my voice steadier now. I wasn't the scared kid in the closet anymore. Margaret sent me digital copies of the trust documents, each one a bullet in my arsenal. I sat in a cafe near Trafalgar Square, the smell of espresso grounding me as I reviewed them. The fog outside thickened, but my path was clear. I'd returned to Seattle with proof that Eleanor's real legacy was mine, and proof of Grayson's crimes. I booked a flight for the next day, my fingers trembling with purpose. The cafe's windows were streaked with mist, reflecting my face, tired, fierce, alive. I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for Eleanor's trust, for my place in her world. As I stepped back into London's fog, the city felt like an ally, its secrets whispering alongside mine. Grayson thought he could erase me, but he'd underestimated the girl Grandma chose. I clutched the USB, its weight a promise. Tomorrow I'd face him in Seattle, not as a victim, but as a survivor ready to burn his world down. The Seattle skyline was a blur of gray and neon as I stepped into the boardroom, my heart hammering like a war drum. It was barely a day since I'd returned from London, the USB and Margaret's documents burning a hole in my briefcase. I'm Kayla, 26, blonde hair pulled tight, green eyes blazing despite the fear clawing at my gut. The boardroom's glass walls reflected the morning rain, a relentless patter that matched my pulse. Grayson's lies. His claim I'd forged Grandma Eleanor's will, his rumors of me stealing data, had pushed me to the edge. But I wasn't the scared kid he'd locked in a closet anymore. I was a survivor, and today, I'd make him choke on his own venom. The boardroom was a pressure cooker, mahogany table gleaming under harsh fluorescent lights, the air thick with tension and the faint scent of leather. The board members sat stiffly, their faces a mix of curiosity and skepticism. My mother, her silver blonde hair mirroring Eleanor's, was there with my aunts and uncles, their presence a last-minute surprise Grayson had orchestrated, no doubt to shame me further. He stood at the head of the table, his navy suit crisp, his smirk sharp as ever. "Kayla's been busy," he said, voice dripping with mock concern, digging up fake documents to steal what's rightfully mine. Then he dropped his bomb, a forged letter, supposedly from Eleanor, claiming I'd manipulated her to change the will. The room gasped, and my stomach plummeted. "Bullshit," I muttered under my breath, my hands trembling as I gripped my briefcase. The letter was a lie, but it looked real. Eleanor's signature, her letterhead. My mother's eyes widened, darting to me with doubt. I felt the old wound rip open. That 10-year-old girl trapped in the dark, Grayson's voice sneering, "You're not family." The boardroom lights felt like spotlights, burning into me. I wanted to run, to scream. But I remembered Eleanor's words from years ago, in her study as sunlight spilled across her desk. "Never let fear silence you, Kayla. You're stronger than they know." That memory was my anchor. I stood, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor, and opened my laptop. "Let's talk facts," I said, my voice shaking but clear. I connected to a video call, and Margaret Hensley appeared, her London office a stark contrast to Seattle's gloom. "Eleanor transferred a $30 million real estate fund to Kayla 5 years ago," Margaret said, her British accent cutting through the room's haze. "The documents are airtight, filed through an offshore trust. I projected the files from the USB, deeds, contracts, and Eleanor's handwritten note naming me trustee. Then I played my ace, bank records from Jake, the IT guy, showing Grayson siphoning company funds for a Malibu beach house. The room went deathly silent. Grayson's face paled, his smirk gone. I turned to the family, my voice steady now. "He tried to erase me from Eleanor's legacy," I said, pulling up his emails to the lawyer, demanding I be cut from the $8 million domestic fund. "He lied to you all, just like he lied to Grandma." My mother's eyes filled with tears, her hand covering her mouth. My uncle shook his head, turning away from Grayson. He lunged forward, voice cracking. "She's not blood, she's nothing." But his words fell flat, hollow, as the board and family stared at him, betrayed. My heart pounded, a mix of terror and triumph. I was scared shitless, I thought, but damn it, I'm not letting him win. Margaret's voice cut in, calm but firm. Eleanor's trust in Kayla was absolute. Grayson was never part of the London Fund. I showed her the letter, the one urging me to teach him integrity. The boardroom felt like a courtroom now, Grayson on trial. My mother stood, her voice trembling. "How could you, Grayson?" she whispered, turning her back on him. My aunts followed, their silence louder than any words. The board chair, a stern woman with gray hair, called for a recess. "We'll investigate," she said, her eyes flicking to Grayson with disgust. He was suspended, effective immediately, and I was tasked with leading a major project to prove my worth. As the room emptied, Grayson glared at me, his face a mask of rage and defeat. I met his gaze, unflinching. "You fucked up," I said softly, just for him. The rain outside pounded harder, a drum roll for my stand. I walked out, my heels echoing in the empty hall, the Seattle skyline looming through the glass. Eleanor's faith, Margaret's proof, Jake's evidence, they'd carried me through. But this wasn't the end. I had to prove I could lead, not just fight. As I stepped into the elevator, the weight of the moment settled on me. I wasn't just surviving, I was claiming my place. And Grayson would never take that away. The Seattle sun broke through the clouds that morning, a rare golden glow spilling across the city's skyline, as if it knew I'd earned this moment. I stood in the boardroom, my heart still racing from the showdown with Grayson days ago. I'm Kayla, 26, blonde hair pulled back, green eyes sharp with purpose. The glass walls reflected the light, making the room feel alive, a stark contrast to the rain-soaked battleground it had been. I'd walked out of that meeting with Grayson's lies exposed, his suspension sealed, and a chance to prove myself with a massive project. I was no longer the adopted kid fighting for a place. I was a survivor. And today, I'd claim my victory. The project was a beast, a $15 million downtown development deal, the kind of high-stakes gamble that could make or break our firm's reputation. I'd spent weeks locked in my office, blueprints and spreadsheets my only company, the city's pulse humming outside. My team, once skeptical, whispering she's not family behind my back, now looked to me for direction. I could still feel Grayson's shadow, his smug voice from childhood echoing. "You're not one of us, Kayla." But I'd silenced that voice in the boardroom, and now I'd bury it for good. The presentation day arrived, the boardroom packed with execs, investors, and to my surprise, my family, mom, aunts, uncles, their eyes no longer filled with doubt but curiosity. I stood at the head of the table, my navy blazer crisp, my voice steady as I unveiled the plan. A sleek condo tower with eco-friendly designs, backed by airtight market data. The projector hummed, casting charts across the wall, each slide a testament to my sleepless nights. When I finished, the room erupted in applause, a sound that hit like a wave. Damn it, I thought, a grin breaking through. I fucking did it. The board chair, Ms. Hargrove, nodded, her stern face softening. This is exceptional, Kayla, she said. The deal's approved. My team clapped me on the back, Sarah from accounting whispering, You proved them wrong. For the first time, I didn't feel like the spare. But the real victory came later that day, when the board's investigation concluded. Grayson's theft, siphoning funds for his Malibu beach house, was confirmed. He was fired, his office cleared out. His name struck from the company roster. The news hit the Seattle Times, a headline screaming, Family betrayal, VP embezzles millions. Grayson's world was crumbling, and I'd lit the match. I didn't stop there. That evening, I called a family meeting at Mom's house, a cozy Victorian in Capitol Hill, its windows glowing against the dusk. The living room was tense, the air heavy with the scent of cedar and old memories. I laid out everything, Grayson's emails to the lawyer, his forged letter accusing me, and his theft from Eleanor's company. Mom's face crumpled, tears streaming as she clutched a photo of Eleanor. I failed him, she whispered. My aunts and uncles sat in stunned silence, their faith in Grayson shattered. I showed them Eleanor's note from the USB. Kayla is my true heir. They looked at me, not as the adopted kid, but as the one who'd carried Eleanor's vision. Grayson's downfall was complete. The article spread like wildfire, his name a punchline in industry circles. He'd sold his car, his condo, everything to cover legal fees as lawsuits loomed. Friends ghosted him, and his socialite life evaporated. I remembered a summer barbecue when I was 20, Eleanor watching Grayson charm guests while she whispered to me, He's all flash, no substance. You're the real deal, Kayla. That memory fueled me now, a reminder of why I'd fought. But victory wasn't just about Grayson's ruin. The London Fund, $30 million in real estate, was officially mine. Margaret's documents filed and sealed. I stood in my office late that night, the city's lights twinkling beyond the glass. The weight of it all hit me. I'd won, but at what cost? My family was fractured. Mom's tears a fresh wound. Fuck, I muttered, rubbing my temples. I'd proven myself, but the scars of Grayson's betrayal lingered. Then he showed up. Grayson, eyes bloodshot, stood in my doorway, his once perfect suit rumpled. Kayla, he croaked. I was wrong. I was jealous. Grandma always loved you more. His voice broke, and for a moment I saw the boy who'd locked me in that closet, not the monster he'd become. But I wasn't ready to forgive. Prove it, I said coldly. Words don't fix what you broke. He nodded, defeated, and left. I didn't feel triumph, just a quiet resolve. As I locked my office, the Seattle skyline glowed, a beacon in the night. I'd stood tall, not just for me, but for Eleanor's trust. The project's success, Grayson's fall, the family's shift. They were my victory. But the real fight was ahead, proving I could carry her legacy, not just in Seattle, but across the ocean. I was ready. The London rain was softer than Seattle's, a gentle mist that kissed the windows of my new office overlooking the Thames. I stood there, 26, my blonde hair loose for once, green eyes tracing the river's silver ripples under a fading sunset. I'm Kayla, and I'd come a long way from that Seattle boardroom where Grayson tried to erase me. The $30 million real estate fund, Grandma Eleanor's secret legacy, was mine to steward, and I was building something new. The victory over my brother was still fresh, But it wasn't the win that defined me. It was what I did next, standing tall as a survivor, that made me whole. My office was a sleek haven of glass and steel, a far cry from the mahogany boardroom where I'd fought for my place. I'd moved to London a month ago, diving headfirst into managing Eleanor's empire. Office towers, luxury flats, a portfolio that hummed with possibility. But it wasn't easy. The London execs, all sharp suits and sharper doubts, eyed me like I was too young, too American, too adopted to handle this. "Fuck that," I muttered, my reflection smirking back from the window. I'd faced worse than their skepticism, Grayson's betrayal, a family's doubt, my own fear of not belonging. I sat at my desk, Eleanor's journal open before me, its pages worn from my touch. Her words were a lifeline. "Kayla, you're my heir because you see beyond the money." I could still see her in her Seattle study, silver hair catching the light, teaching me to read blueprints when I was 16. "You've got heart and grit," she'd said, her voice steady. That memory anchored me now as I navigated board meetings and property deals across a city that felt both foreign and faded. But the weight of her trust was heavy. Every decision, every contract felt like a test. Was I enough? Back in Seattle, Grayson's world had collapsed. The headlines hadn't let up. Ex-VP's embezzlement scandal rocks family firm. He'd sold his condo, his car, everything to pay legal fees, his name a cautionary tale in industry circles. My family had cut him off, Mom's tearful calls to me confirming he was persona non grata. I heard he'd started volunteering at a community center, a desperate bid to rebuild. Part of me, the kid he'd locked in a closet at 10, his voice sneering, "You're not family," wanted him to suffer. But another part, the one Eleanor raised, saw his fall as a lesson, not a vendetta. "Damn it, Grandma," I whispered, flipping through her journal. "You always saw the bigger picture." I'd done more than manage the fund. I launched a scholarship in Eleanor's name, funding young dreamers in Seattle, kids like me who'd been told they didn't belong. The first recipients were announced last week, their grateful emails flooding my inbox. One girl, a foster kid with a knack for architecture, wrote, "You gave me a chance to prove myself." I cried reading it, the Thames glowing outside like a mirror of my heart. This was Eleanor's legacy, not just buildings, but belief in those who dared to dream. The challenges didn't stop. In London, a senior partner questioned my latest acquisition, a tech hub in Shoreditch, muttering I was too green for the job. I wanted to scream, but I channeled Eleanor instead, presenting data that shut him up. Each fight made me stronger, each doubt a reminder of the boardroom where I'd faced Grayson down. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. But late at night, alone with the city's hum, I'd trace the scars of that fight. Mom's tears, my aunt's silence, Grayson's broken apology. They lingered like ghosts. One evening, under London's drizzle, I walked along the Thames, Eleanor's journal tucked in my coat. I stopped at a bench, the city's lights twinkling like stars. I opened to a page I'd read 100 times. Legacy isn't blood, Kayla. It's love, respect, resilience. I imagined her beside me, her voice warm, saying, "You did good, kid." My eyes stung, not from sadness, but from clarity. "I'm enough," I said aloud, the words swallowed by the river's flow. I didn't need Grayson's approval, or my family's, or even London's. I was Kayla, and that was enough. Grayson's fall was a lesson for us all. His volunteering might be a start, but his name would never recover, a warning etched in Seattle's memory. My family was healing, Mom calling to say she was proud, her voice soft with regret. I'd built something new, not just a fund, but a legacy of second chances. As I walked back to my office, the rain washing my face clean, I felt Eleanor's strength in me. The Thames glowed under the dusk, a promise of what I'd create next. I wasn't just a survivor, I was a builder, and my story was just beginning. So that's my story. how I went from being the kid Grayson called the spare to standing tall with Grandma Eleanor's legacy in my hands. It wasn't just about the money or beating him. It was about proving I'm enough, blood or not. I'm Kayla, and I'm still here, building something bigger than myself. What about you? Have you ever had to fight to prove your worth, to claw your way back from betrayal? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments or send me a message. Your voice matters. Thank you for listening, for walking this journey with me. It means the world. Let's meet again soon. Okay? Keep fighting, keep shining.